So joining us now, prosecutor and host of Today with Dr. Wendy on KCBQ Radio, Dr. Wendy Patrick, and distinguished professor at Touro University, Thane Rosenbaum. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
All right, Thane, I'm going to start with you. How can a judge rule that Trump's guilty if the trial hasn't started yet?
Yeah, Michael, not only that, how did that number come up, $250 million? Remember, there's no victims here. This is a situation where New York Attorney General, and remember, New York Attorney, the Attorney Generals of each state, their job is to prevent consumer fraud and protect the consumer. And there is no consumer fraud. These were sophisticated banks who received their money and made money on these loans. Donald Trump never defaulted on the loans. These are banks that had their own raft of lawyers. They could do their own appraisals. They had their own CPAs and accountants. So the question is, where do you come up with the $250 million to begin with, if there's no victim here, that is the consumer? And secondly, the damage of $250 million is much less significant, I think, to Trump than the stripping away their business certificate on some of the dozens of the properties that they own in New York State.
Wendy, Trump he's expected to travel to New York today and attend the trial in person. He spoke about this whilst he was on a trip to Los Angeles. Let's quickly take a listen to that.
It's a disgrace. It's a rigged. Everything about this city is rigged.
You said that you'd like to.
It's all rigged. This whole country is rigged out.
So, Dr. Wendy, what do you think about what the former president said there about it being rigged? Do you think this is a good idea for him to turn up, or do you really? What's your reaction to that?
I was actually impressed that he was going to attend the trial in person, Sarah. Remember, there are some trials he does have to be there for the entire proceedings, some that he doesn't. But the fact that he's willing to engage in the process, along with what I would probably call blanket denials, is probably a strategy that's less dangerous than speaking in detail about the facts of the case. It's one thing to say anything he says can be held against him, whether he's speaking in the court of public opinion or to an investigator. But he basically is reciting something he has said for years, that he feels like he's always getting piled on, the system is rigged. But this is a civil trial. It's very different from the 4 indictments that he's facing, which frankly are his bigger problems.
Yeah, that's a very good point. This is a civil trial. And Thane, to your point before, anyone that thinks Mar-a-Lago's worth $18.5 million doesn't know too much about real estate. I think the judge just loses credibility when they're outrageous like that. And it shows that maybe the president is right. Maybe this is, to some extent, it's all baked into the cake. I'm not going to say rigged. I'm just going to say, the judge has it in for him, because that's kind of a ridiculous number. But I would like to pivot for a second to the impeachment inquiry of President Joe Biden, specifically the treatment of the people who were testifying. So listen to how Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy spoke to George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley. Please take a listen.
Professor Turley, in 2006, you wrote an op-ed in The Guardian entitled, quote, "Stop Persecuting Polygamists." You've been crusading for legalizing polygamy for years. In fact, in an op-ed in the USA Today, you said that a Utah polygamist named Tom Green, who was also convicted of pedophilia for raping his 13-year-old stepdaughter, should not have been charged with polygamy.
So, in this opening statement, Turley even said Biden shouldn't be impeached. So why are the Democrats trying to paint him so negatively here?
Well, remember, he wasn't there, nor the other people called to provide facts. They were there to talk about the historical and the constitutional basis for an impeachment inquiry. I mean, I think that, look, the Republicans know that the evidence is already there and can certainly be developed, showing the influence peddling, and the abuse of authority and the connections that Hunter Biden made in order to receive tens of millions of dollars. So their strategy was to distract and discredit, to focus on MAGA, to focus on a father's love for his son, to focus on Trump's indictments. What they really was trying to do is to essentially get away from the reality, which is that it may be true, as you said, that Jonathan Turley said, there's no evidence at this moment of a direct link between the payments from foreign corporations to the Bidens and Joe Biden. But that can be
Thane,
developed.
we have to leave it there, unfortunately. I'm sorry, we're heading out to the break. We've got the music in our ear. Dr. Wendy Patrick and Thane Rosenbaum, thank you both very much.